in Google Translate because I have nothing else that can translate anything. Closest I really get is dark candle.
Huh.
Yeah.
I know that based on The Evil Within 2 in Obscura is sort of like a thing, like a dark obsession you pour all of your energy into.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, Candela is just like, yeah, it's candle.
Yeah, it's an
That
obscured
is what
candle.
that means.
Well, it's like you can't see the light, right? Like, I don't know, man. I didn't make the thing. That was Spencer Stark and Rowan Hall. You can ask them. I don't know.
The Latin name means dark chamber.
Oh. Well, and I think really the name is trying to hit on the ambiance, right? Because it's supposed to be like a 1906 turn of the century kind of thing. And I think it's really similar to like World of Darkness in a lot of ways.
Gross, they didn't even have working plumbing in 1906.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
The Latin name means dark chamber, and the earliest versions dating to antiquity consisted of a small darkened room with light admitted through a single tiny hole. The result was that an inverted image of the outside scene was cast on the opposite wall, which was usually whitened.
Huh.
Well, indoor plumbing systems have been around since the 1500s.
I mean, we can't always count on Paris and their sewer rats for statements of how long it took America to get plumbing.
True.
Very true.
I could
But
probably drive 45 minutes west of here and find a place that doesn't actually have plumbing.
Where you are, yeah, absolutely. 45 minutes? I don't know if I probably could. Anyway. Hello and welcome to Tarrasque Me Anything, the D&D podcast that's filmed entirely in Technicolor. My name is Will McAfee, also known as the Arcade Wizard. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Ale, and joining us again today is my brother Greg. Everyone say hello.
Hey.
Hey.
I've got bees in my knees.
I think you should check that out.
I don't know, he's positively buzzing.
Shit. Oh no.
Unfortunately, it's got me bumbling.
I've made a grave mistake.
I don't see any shovels.
Oh god.
Oh, sounds like you've got some dirt.
All right, we're done. Because today we're going to be talking about Candela Obscura. As we've mentioned previously, we're taking a deep dive into other tabletop RPGs, and that is spawned primarily due to Critical Role releasing this illuminated world system, which is their D6 system, as well as their D20 system, Daggerheart, that we don't have any information on just yet. But they have released a quick start guide as well as a video kind of explaining the rules for Candela Obscura to go along with their first stream, which you said was yesterday, correct? At time of recording. So, as mentioned previously, Candela Obscura is a D6 system that takes place in the world of the Fairlands, I believe. It's turn of the century-esque, 1906. There's some sort of dark forces that are encroaching on the land, and there's a secret society known as Candela Obscura, and they send investigators out to kind of go on missions and uncover the secret and information. It reads very like Eldritch Horror to me, right?
Oh,
You kind of get that vibe looking at this stuff.
Looking at the pictures, it does definitely feel like a crumbling civilization perched upon madness with horrible things lurking in every shadow.
Absolutely.
so like Victorian Britain.
Just normal Victorian Britain, you know what? Fair play.
Yeah. So, as we go through it, again, we have no experience playing this game. They only just released the quick start guide yesterday, I believe. But
Yeah.
I did briefly read through it, and I did watch the video on the character sheet breakdown. So let's get into it. First of all, um, they do have roles and specialties. These are kind of like your classes and subclasses. So you can be the slink, the scholar, the face, the weird, or the muscle.
I would like to be the muscle, and I would like to cast punch.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the name Ezra Ashford is directly from a book I read like a couple months ago.
Yes.
It also doesn't help that as I'm going through the PDF, it is taking time to load as I'm scrolling down each page. Okay, so there are 5 roles you can play, each with 2 different specialties. So you can be a face, which you can be a journalist or a magician, a muscle, which has soldier or explorer, scholar, which has professor or doctor, slink, which has criminal or detective, and weird, which has medium or occultist.
It has an occultist. This is a Eldritch horror game.
It absolutely is. That's 100% what it is. Let me see. Ghost Blade. You can attune a ritual knife to yourself. If you coat it in your blood, take a body mark, it can wound magical beings and strike invisible or ethereal enemies. That's pretty cool.
Hey, it's the ghost touch enchantment from Pathfinder.
There you go. Extend your senses. When you roll with sense to understand more about a phenomenon you've encountered, also add a number of dice equal to your current intuition resistance to the roll. Okay.
Can we talk about the nerve, cunning, and intuition?
Yes. So those are. Is there something you wanted to say, or did you want me to get into it?
Yeah. Just why is read part of cunning?
Well, interpret body language, spot lies, gather motive. So it's like reading a person. It's an insight check, basically.
Because I imagined read like, hold on, don't punch me. I have to read this passage from my journal.
A little bit different. Yeah, so I guess those are just kind of categories that those are everything you can do. Those are the checks that you'll be making, and they've kind of like split them up for this drive system that they're using. So it is a D6 pool game. If you get a 6, that is a success. If you get a 4 or 5, it succeeds, but maybe doesn't go exactly the way you want it. If you get a 1, 2, or 3, you fail. Basically, as you're going in and you fill out your character sheet, you'll fill in a number of those bubbles, and that creates a pool of dice for you to roll. So, for example, if you are trying to interpret body language, if you're trying to read someone and you have 2 of those 3 bubbles filled out, you can roll 2 dice, right? You'll see on this example character sheet that they have drives and then max under it. So max is how many drives you can have. This is kind of like a currency you can use. So you can expend drives to add to your dice pool. Once those drives are expended, you can get them back by using a gilded die, which is that little diamond next to those skills in there. And I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, so let me go through that again. Right? So say you're trying to interpret someone's body language. You have 2 points in read. Normally that would be 2 dice that you roll, right? And you would succeed or fail. Say your drives are full, and in this case there's maximum 6, and you use 2. You can add 2 more dice to your dice pool, right?
Oh.
To get drives back, you use the gilded die. And it's not clear. I don't believe you have to take the roll on the gilded die, but if you do take the roll on the gilded die, you earn your drive back. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Sure. This leads to a very natural next question. What does the gilded die do?
Get you your drive back. I think the main thing about it is, say you don't roll a success on the gilded die, you have to decide whether you use it if you take it to get your drive back, or you ignore it. Right? I don't know.
I feel like there should be a consequence for using the die to get your drive back.
The consequence is you have to use it. Because the gilded die is not added. It's replacing one of your die.
Oh, okay. So it lowers your pool of die for your next roll, so to speak.
In a way, yeah. So it replaces one of your die pool with a gilded die. And then it's not entirely clear. I think when you roll a pool, you're just trying to get one success, right? So say you roll like 4 die, one of them is a gilded die, right? So on the 3 that aren't, you get a 1, 2, and a 6. 1 and 2 don't succeed, 6 does succeed, and your gilded die is a 4, right? So it's like a half success. You can choose to take the gilded die, which, hey, it might work out, it might not, but I'll get a drive back for doing it. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I fully understand it.
So what you're saying is that when I roll to do a thing, I can choose to take the gilded die, whatever it is, pass or fail in that situation, to get drive back, but it could mean failing whatever roll I'm currently doing.
Correct. And drive, you want more drive because then you can add more to your dice pool. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another thing I like that they put here is they have marks and scars. So there's not exactly hit points. If you get hit or hurt in some way, there are 3 different kinds of marks, each with 3 different slots that they can fill. So body is like physical damage, right? Getting hurt in the leg, falling downstairs. Brain is like stress or like mental stability, sanity. And then bleed is like magic, being hit by occult stuff or whatever happens in this crazy world. And once you get 3 of one, so say you get shot in the leg 3 times, that's probably an extreme circumstance. So you hurt your body 3 times, you then get a scar, right? Once you get 3 scars, you're dead. I believe the term he used in the YouTube video was permanently incapacitated. But no, you're dead. You're dead, son. And one of the other cool things... Go ahead.
I don't think I would have lived past 12 in this universe.
Probably not.
I have a lot of scars.
Mostly brain?
None are visible.
No.
Oh,
yeah, and let me clarify. So you hit 3 in a category. So say you get 3 body, you mark off a scar, and then you remove all of the marks in body, and it resets back to 0. So, and then you can build up another 3, and then you can get another scar, and then if you get 3 scars, you die. One of the fun things in the video, though, is once you get a scar, your skill point distribution actually changes in some way to reflect the scar. So maybe you get shot in the leg 3 times. Maybe you're going to have to take your point out of move and then put it into sway or something, right?
Did they have semi-automatic weaponry in 1906?
I don't believe they did.
I'm pretty sure that...
You know what?
Like,
semi-automatic? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, like, you go down an alleyway, right? There's just a dude with a Glock, right? And he just hits you full mag in the chest. You just kind of die, huh?
Yeah, 9 shots will do it. 9 shots, 3 scars, permanently incapacitated.
Then again, I don't know what character outside of a tabletop RPG might live through that, so...
True. But yeah, so when you get scarred, say you twist your ankle real bad 3 times, you take a point away from... You move a skill point to reflect that. So in this case, you take a point away from move and maybe add it to focus or sway or whatever. Another thing, if you don't have any points, you can still roll to try to do the check. but it's kind of like rolling at disadvantage. So say you have no points in move whatsoever, but you need to make a move check. You're trying to dodge something. You're going to roll 2d6, and then you're going to take the lower one. So you will almost certainly fail, but there's a chance you might succeed.
Well, you say almost certainly fail, but like if we're hedging on a partial success, then you have at least a 25% chance to succeed.
I'm not prepared to do
there's
that
definitely some
right.
semi-automatic weapons by 1905.
Thank you for the clarification.
One of which is a semi-automatic shotgun.
Oh, hopefully we won't be encountering any. Also, as you guys who can see it, I definitely, maybe I'll throw a picture in to the YouTube version, but certainly anyone just listening to the podcast won't see it. There's also illumination keys at the bottom here, and specifically I'm looking at Slink/Criminal, and the illumination keys are just kind of like side quests, how you might get like faction missions during a Pathfinder Society game, right? So these are things you want to do, right? So you want to do something illegal, make a deal, or stand up to authority, and I don't know what you get from that, but I think that's a fun little thing.
I don't think you have to remind any player of any game to do those three things.
You're right. Maybe I shouldn't look at the criminal. Also at the top of the page is name, pronouns, circle, style, catalyst, and question. Name and pronouns pretty self-explanatory. Circle, I believe, is the name of your adventuring group. It says the catalyst is the moment in your character's life that led them to search out the secret society, and the question is what your character is seeking to answer by joining it.
Did I leave my oven on?
And these are like jumping off points. He doesn't mention style at all, so we'll just leave that blank for now as well.
I did note that in the gear for the criminal, he has body armor, which lessens body hits by 1 stage.
Oh, soak 1 body. Yeah.
So there are apparently hits that you can take that do more than just one of your 3 hit points.
Yep. That's what I'm reading as well. Or, well, I do believe that, but also if it only hits for 1, that body armor will protect you quite a bit. And also, just to touch on gear for a second, you choose 3 things out of gear at the start of every mission. So you don't have like an inventory that you hold on to. You at the start of each game, you pick 3 things and you go into it. So also in a way, it feels like it's going to be more one-shot oriented and not like you can build a bigger campaign around this. Maybe you can. We're just kind of digging into this now.
It's more like a series of missions instead of...
Somebody watched way too much Phasmophobia during the coronavirus pandemic. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You know, they...
I was too scared to play Phasmophobia more than once.
So I probably should have looked at the field guide because they have everything I was trying to say neatly laid out right here before me. But drives, nerves, cunning, and intuition. You can spend to add 1d to d6. I don't know why it just says 1d to a roll using an action under that drive. For example, you could spend cunning to add 1d to a sway roll. You may spend as many as you'd like to a maximum of 6 dice total on a roll. Okay, so that's something
I think the D just means like 1 dice.
1 dice.
For people that it's just like, well, yeah, a dice is a 6-sided cube.
Oh.
That is just the die.
You're right.
I assume that they don't specify because you only use 1 die in this game.
Normal people, right? That's where I was at. But he's right. Normal people might not call it a D6.
They just call it dice.
I mean,
Right.
really, they could have just said spend these to add the cube to a roll.
Right.
A cube.
Oop. Okay. And then for actions, you have move, strike, control, sway, read, hide, survey, focus, and sense. When you make a roll, the GM will determine which action you use. You roll a number of dice equal to the action's rating. Before rolling, you may also spend any applicable drive you have available to add additional dice. Gilded actions. If the diamond on the left of the action is filled, it means that one of the dice on that roll is always replaced with a gilded dice, a die of a different color. If you ever take a gilded die as your result, you earn back 1 drive point in the category of the action that was rolled. For example, if you take a gilded result on a strike roll, you earn back 1 point in nerve up to your maximum. I still don't think they're super clear on that, because if I'm rolling 6 die, am I picking the result I want? Is that kind of what's going on?
It does seem that way.
Because like in other games, you have a dice pool and you have like successes and failures, and they balance each other out, right?
Yeah, this could be closer to not that I played this, but there's a D6 version of the like Star Wars game.
I think I've seen that one.
And I think for that game, you can roll die, and there are like hits, and you would be like, all right, so these 3 hits, so I'll take these 3, so I do 3 damage. But if you only rolled 1 damage, you'd be like, all right, so I did 1 damage because I have 1 hit here.
Right. Under drives, there's something called resistance, and it says on a failed roll, you may always spend a resistance to re-roll a number of dice equal to your action rating. If that action is gilded, you may choose one of the gilded die to re-roll. I have no idea what that means, but I think that means if you fail, you can try again for a cost.
Yes. I guess you need to buy the full game for it to make sense.
Well, the full game's not out yet, and we can go over that
Exactly.
later. But yeah, this is kind of just like a little first look here, and it looks cool. Honestly, I'd love to run a one-shot.
Yeah.
Let's see, and they have a circle.
Oh, look up
Got it.
there. It's got the name of your members and how the campaign should feel.
Yeah, campaign tone and feel.
Just write pain next to that on every single one.
No, you
chapter,
gotta be
house
specific,
location.
because with Matt Mercer, it's not only is it scary, but there's body horror.
It's always body horror with Matt Mercer.
Body horror is amazing.
Matt
Well,
Mercer
a
didn't
member of your
design this
circle
game, though.
takes a scar and drops incapacitated. Any rolls a player makes in the scene to protect them or get them out of danger have +1 die.
Yeah, circle.
So apparently, if you take a scar during a mission, you're incapacitated for that mission.
Oh, that's crazy. You're reading that in the top right?
It's so nobody left behind. But yeah, based on the circle ability, the nobody left behind perk, it seems as though when a character gets a scar, they become incapacitated.
Yeah, and let's see. Circle abilities. Choose one at character creation and one each time your circle advances. So I wonder, do you guys... does the circle choose one? Or does your character choose one? Is this like a group thing? Everyone gets these abilities?
Choose one at character creation and one each time your circle advances. It's a different one for each character.
Yeah, and then when the circle advances, you get another one?
Yeah.
Also, illumination, question, and keys. Ask these at the end of every assignment. For every yes, fill in a point on the illumination track. And I guess that's how you advance the circle. Did you contain or destroy a source of bleed? Did you provide comfort or support for those affected? Oh, that's positive. Did you bring something of importance? Excuse me?
Did you offer an egg in this trying time?
That's what I thought you said.
Yes.
In a world ravaged by Gaston.
I was referencing Danny DeVito.
Nobody likes that show.
Egg.
I've never seen it, but Danny DeVito.
It's Always Sunny? Oh, it's great. Did you bring something of importance back for Candela Obscura to study? Earn 2 illumination if some, but not all, players fulfilled an illumination key during the session. Earn 4 if every player fulfilled at least 1 illumination key. Illumination key, that was the thing at the bottom of the character sheet. So for like criminal, it was commit a crime, stand up against authority, and one other thing. If nobody in the circle fulfilled any of their keys, take no additional illumination.
Okay.
At character advancement, each player can choose 2 different options. Add 1 action point, add 2 drive points, take a new ability, guild an additional action. Okay, that's cool. So I guess it's really mission focused, but you can kind of have overarching story. It just kind of cuts out the downtime between, because you're only going to be experiencing the game during the missions.
Yeah, it's like secret agent stuff. You're either training or doing the mission.
Yeah. And then there's a category down here for circle gear. So I guess your circle can get a couple of different things. Yeah, so resources in each of the following research fill in both sections, top and bottom, equal to the number of your circle members plus one. Between assignments, each players may spend up to 2 resources of their choosing. When resources are used, only erase the top sections. And there is stitch, refresh, and train. And I'm pretty sure what train means. Refresh, probably recover. Stitch, I have no idea.
Healing.
Well, that's what I was thinking refresh was. Maybe it's in this this year.
Refresh is probably brain damage.
Oh.
And Stitch is body damage.
Body damage. You're a smart dude. I'm glad you're here.
I do my best.
I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah, and it looks like they have a little no, this isn't a one shot. It's just kind of, so it looks like there's an arrival, exploration, escalation, a climax, and an epilogue to every mission. That's cool. I like that it's kind of structured like that.
Structured like a play.
Yeah,
It's episodic.
I kind of like that a lot. Yeah, we should definitely do a one shot of this and then come back and refine this episode from the absolute horrid mess it is trying to organize my thoughts on something I know nothing about.
The obscure mess that this is.
No, this isn't a mess. I'm a mess. Let's read a little bit about the setting real quick. The Fairlands is a northern county of Hale. Lies in the fertile valley known as in the northern county of Hale lies the fertile valley known as the Fairlands. For over a decade, the world has grappled with the effects of a fierce cold snap known as the Shiver. While many countries face shorter growing seasons and food shortages, the relatively temperate valley of the Fairlands provides for Halen citizens. Unfortunately, for the people of this region, the land and its resources are highly sought after. When they're not defending their borders from invasion, they're catching their breath before the next attack.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The last Great War over the Glass Sea across the vast chasm lies the country of Newfarens, have come to refer to otherwise.
The Glass
So this
Sea.
The Glass Sea.
This is
Across the vast chasm.
And it's a chasm. So it was a desert that was nuked. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, it could be like some far future apocalypse stuff. Maybe. Yep, that's too much. Okay. As the country of Newfarens have come to refer to as Otherwhere.
Otherwhere?
Though relations were peaceful for decades, in 1898, the distant power sailed their military forces into Hallow Harbor to capture the agricultural resources of the Fairlands. The war lasted for roughly 6 years, and the Fairlands and its citizens suffered immensely. Food and other natural resources allowed the people here to sustain themselves throughout the conflict, but it was the discovery and harnessing of electricity, first in New Fair and then across all of Hale, that allowed them to push back the colonizing forces of Otherwhere. So I guess it really doesn't matter when we invented semi-automatic shotguns. It matters when the country of Hale did, or the Halians did. In the wake of their victory, the city, always a hub of immigration, suddenly flooded with war refugees. Though the population boom was daunting for wartime infrastructure, the cultural adaptations born from this time transformed New Fair into one of the most vibrant cities in Hale. In the 3 years since the war, the country has restored itself, but like the waste of West Rec, the collective psyche is permanently changed. While some have adopted an electric live while you can attitude, others desperately seek resolution for the loss of an entire generation to the forces of the otherwhere. I do like that name, otherwhere. There's another time the name Ezra Ashford is mentioned. Wonder if there's like hidden lore in their quick start guide. Many of the worlds found within the text are English translations of the Halen language. This is particularly apparent in the names of places. You'll notice that many regions and districts are called exactly what they are. For example, West Rec is the land to the west of New Fair that was ravaged during the last Great War. Because the Fairlands were conquered so often and remained so diversely populated over time, Halen citizens found it easier to speak frankly. Simpler names ease translation in cities filled with speakers of diverse languages. To some, the directness of Halen's speech is considered rude, while others find it trustworthy. Okay, first of all, I love that because it's turn of the century. They're speaking direct. They could be rude. They're definitely New Yorkers, right? They're definitely
Yes.
like turn of the century New Yorkers.
What I'm hearing is that this entire thing is done as a noir detective drama.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Even the sepia
You need
tones.
to go full Nick Cage whole time.
It's a noir eldritch horror. I can't go full Nick Cage the entire time. I can't even go full Nick
Yes, you
Cage for a
can.
sentence.
Like the Into the Spider-Verse movie. Spider Noir was Nick Cage, and he was requested to go full Nick Cage the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's how you do full Nick Cage as Noir.
Just be Spider Noir.
Yes.
You punch Nazis and drink. Oh, what was he drinking? Egg teams? I don't.
Just a crap ton of whiskey, I think.
It was some kind of malt drink from the time period.
It's a malt liquor.
No. Anyway, he ended that entire tirade with a, and sometimes we let the match burn down to our fingertips just so we can feel something.
Correct.
Yep. That is Nick Cage.
All right, let's talk about New Fair a little. New Fair is a sprawling and diverse city on the western coast of the continent of Hale, filled with technology that resembles your own during the turn of the 19th century. All right, so they do have semi-automatic shotguns. This civilization stands upon the ruins of its ancient alchemical predecessor known as Old Fair. Yes, okay, it is very direct. This place embodies the perpetual integration of the ancient and the innovative that occurs within such cities as Edinburgh, Lima, New York, Paris, and Istanbul. The New Fair citizens are nested within historical brutalist architecture. That's my favorite kind of historical architecture. The recent evolution from Art Nouveau into Art Deco.
Art
Exactly.
Nouveau is Elven. Art Deco is Dwarvish.
I see. And I disagree. I think brutalist is Dwarvish.
Yes. It said it went from Art Nouveau into Art Deco. Art Deco is Dwarvish.
Okay. So yes, the ascendancy, the primacy, and the periphery are together known as the triumvirate. The ascendancy is the official religion of the Fairlands. They're led by the ascendant, an official appointed from within the faith. They have incredible influence and, like every aspect of the triumvirate powers, are highly corrupt. Oh, fantastic.
So, literally everything we've just been talking about is the setting for the second trilogy of Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogies.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah.
I've
They even worship something called the Ascendant.
Ale, you've been reading Brandon Sanderson, right?
I was reading The Way of Kings. I just recently got my friend Angie into that after I basically said, okay, I know you want to keep talking to me. Read the damn book.
Yeah, I gotta read it too. I hear they're great. What's the main thing he's known for? Wheel
At
of
this
Time?
point,
That's not it.
Wheel of Time is a different author. He finished those
except for the
books.
last two.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
finished the series because the original author died and he was asked to do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they worked on one of the books together.
Okay, that was it.
The Mistborn trilogy, the original Mistborn trilogy, is probably what put him on the map as an author, but his current work, the Stormlight Archive, is probably
Stormlight
the more
Archive.
famous of the two.
That's what I'm
Yes,
thinking
The Way of Kings is part of the Stormlight Archives.
of. Yeah, it was in my head recently because I think they're getting like a Netflix show. I don't know if it is Netflix, but some sort of adaptation. I think, unless I'm totally off base on that.
Wheel
Anyway,
of Time is hitting.
Anyway, there's a second set of books for the Mistborn. Like, there's literally a first trilogy, and then there's a second trilogy that's set in, like, the Wild West era of the world, where the first book was, like, magic and sword. This is technology. Like, people have guns and stuff, and they literally, like, they turn one of the main characters from the first trilogy into the warrior ascendant who is worshipped. And I'm, like, listening to some of the stuff that's going on in this world, and I'm like, how much did these creators steal from Brandon Sanderson?
Yes.
nice. Well, could just be inspired, right? Let's talk now about the primacy. The central government of the Fairlands, led by an elected official, the premier, members.
It is the premiere, but it would be way funnier if it was the primer.
the premier. Members of the chamber work beneath them to make decisions for New Fair and its surrounding districts. Though the primacy claims to be a distinct entity, they collaborate closely with the other facets of the triumvirate. So that's basically the same as a mayor, right? No, the government of the Fairlands. So not just New Fair. So it's kind of like a president or supreme leader. It says elected official, so I'm going to say it's kind of like a president.
So the elected official, the premier, is probably a president, but it looks like that they have members of the chamber, huh? So it looks like they have a senate under the president in this particular instance.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
So
Let's
it's just
not.
like the prime minister.
We're not going to dig into checks and balances of a made up society. And finally,
Is that not what people who play TTRPGs do?
if
I have
I
no
end
idea.
up running like a huge Illuminated Worlds campaign, I might dig into it. But for now, I'm not. Okay, and the periphery, the police force within the Fairlands. In the wake of the last Great War, the periphery inherited military technology that is incongruous with the supposed goal of interfacing peacefully with Halen citizens. The captain of the periphery is appointed by the premier. Thus, they are seen by many Faerins as the violent hand of the government.
Okay, so it's New York.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, the periphery is just the police. The primacy, it's a president because it's all of the Fairlands, but I'm going to say is like a mayor. And the ascendancy is the church. And they all work together as the triumvirate to be highly corrupt and evil. But so the police force just inherited weapons of mass destruction from the war.
Yeah, they just scavenged, found some Nazi technology and took it home to wage on their
Inherited military technology that is
What it
incongruous with the
sounds like-
supposed goal of interfacing peacefully with Halen citizens. So it's kind of like they just
They
got
changed from UK police to American police.
no, they changed to Russian police.
Can we talk about how cumbersome this sentence is?
It's a bit much, yeah, but no, that's fine. It's fine.
And talk about a periphery and interfacing. It's like, yeah, they're the keyboards.
All right, enough of that. Do we want to talk about Old
Hold
Fair?
it. I saw the word ziggurat. Huh? The ziggurat.
There it is.
They've got a ziggurat.
The ancient city was built around a central tower vault, the ziggurat. Speaking of Old Fair, where the government of Old Fair attempted to house and utilize magical, with a K, phenomena. But the alchemists were ill-equipped to manage bleed, and the citizens were affected by the horrors that come from the prolonged exposure to the corrupting energy. Yeah. Cool.
Typical ziggurat things.
Yeah, typical ziggurat things. Lighthouses are, as Candela Obscura evolved through the ages, they attempted to find and secure the effects of bleed. When the investigators discovered thinnings, they built lighthouses containing magical astrolabes, not astrolabes, astrolabes, at each site to hold back the deadly forces from beyond this realm. Those are lighthouses. The vast chasm. This rift in the ocean lies between New Fair and Otherwhere. Torn into the sea during the fall of Old Fair, water now pours over all sides in a perpetual deadly fall. It is literally a chasm in the middle of the ocean. The terrifying currents around the chasm destroy ships, and there is a Candela Obscura lighthouse within its depth.
The terrifying currents destroy the ships? Wouldn't the fall into the goddamn chasm destroy the ships?
Apparently not, because
See,
they have a
that's
lighthouse
where
down there.
Cthulhu tripped and fell.
The Kraken's just down there. The far away. New Faerans refer to any place that is not within the Fairlands as far away. It is common to ask politely or otherwise if someone is from fair or far. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Can you imagine some git in a bar walking up to you and asking you that, real belligerently drunk?
Oi, are you from fair or far? Otherwhere.
you. It's another one.
Otherwhere, New Faerans used this name for the country across the sea. When Otherwhere attempted to colonize the Fairlands in the last Great War 3 years ago, relations with the people of this nation shattered. Though Hale was able to hold off invading forces with the development of electricity, this scientific development is spreading across the world and has brought a new fear of war down on the people of the Fairlands. Oh no.
I guess you could say they're quite shocked.
Jesus.
I don't know if I could say that.
I don't know if I want to get into all of the districts of New Fair, but just quickly, there's the Briar Green, the Eaves, the Hallow Harbor, the Nine Irons, the Red Lamp district, the Varnish, South Soffit, Silver Slip, the Seidel, the Shiverline, and the Steel.
Even this fake America has legalized sex work.
God damn it.
I appreciated that it was a red lamp and not a red light. You know? The red lamp district.
No one talks about the blue or the purple lamps in the red light district. This is information people going to Europe need to know.
Ah, the ass chasm.
Yeah, and they do have a map in here as well. New Fair, big city, and then it looks like there's a Scarlet Wood, Brittleborn Mountains, Sea Sway. You can see the vast chasm out there, which honestly...
That's false advertising. That sea is not made out of glass.
No, it also, according to this map, it looks like you can go around the vast chasm. Like there's a rock there, you can just sail around it.
Well, yeah, how else are they supposed to get trade by sea? Remember, Otherwhere invaded them through the ocean. How else were they supposed to get there?
No.
Fast hasn't happened during the war.
Right. There's the West Wreck, Haven Hills, Verge, the Stentorian River, and the Tottergrass, which I imagine is where the hobbits live.
It's not labeled, but is that the ziggurat?
Right here? I don't know. Because they were saying New Fair was built on Old Fair, and Old Fair was where the ziggurat was. Let me go back up there and skim through that. They built around a central tower vault, the ziggurat where the government... Yeah, it was probably the ziggurat. It looks ziggurat-y, right?
It looks ziggurat.
And also, there's definitely like a lot of tentacles on the side on the map here, definitely invoking Eldritch Horror, and it is in a very cool Art Deco style, which is very cool. Yeah. This looks like a lot of fun. Of course, this is just a quick start guide, but maybe we can play a one-shot, come back with our thoughts on it, or if they release the full game by the time we get back to it, we can actually play a game with all the rules. And hopefully somehow I'll also be able to edit this into a cohesive, understandable podcast episode.
Good luck.
Yes.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a little tough, but thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, that's it. I think we're done here.
Goodbye.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.